What's going on, guys? Happy Monday. It's a pretty good day for the Bitcoin miners, the AI plays. Bitcoin is up slightly, but we've got some miners absolutely rallying. I want to talk about CleanSpark. I also want to talk about Bit Digital. It's running a lot today. But looking at CleanSpark, we do have some AI news. This industry veteran, Jeffrey Thomas, who was previously with Humane, which is a Saudi Arabian AI data center program, and one of the region's largest infrastructure initiatives, he's now joining the CleanSpark executives. He'll lead the company's effort to develop large-scale compute facilities. And while we knew that CleanSpark was getting into AI, back in their last mining update, they talked about our business evolving. We have the team, expertise, and assets to thrive at the intersection of energy, Bitcoin, and compute. If that's not enough for you, they're talking about their financial flexibility in their last mining update to support hash rate growth, HPC expansion, and digital asset management strategy initiatives. You know, those of us that were paying attention knew that CleanSpark was pivoting into AI. This executive choice kind of cements that. It shows that they are making progress in that route. And sure enough, our trend held up. Remember that trend we talked about, this ascending trend line that we've been in since September? We got a bounce right at it basically, and it's back near its highs. We did previously have a bearish divergence on the 4-hour. We had the RSI hitting a lower high while the price went higher. We did drop after that, and that was when we got that test of this trend line. And now we do have a lower high on the RSI, but we also still have a lower high on the chart. We got through this bearish divergence. CleanSpark saw a pretty substantial drop from almost $24 down here to 18. Got a bounce back up after the divergence played out. And now we're near our highs here. We need to clear this roughly 2350 area. And then we're coming for our cycle high of roughly 25 here. One thing to realize is there's potential for dilution at around $24, $25. I do think it's a good time to be trimming. Probably not exit entirely, but definitely trimming. BTBT is also moving very nicely here today. On the daily, however, we do have a bearish divergence. Lower highs on the RSI, higher highs on the chart. It's pretty clear on the 4-hour and the daily. And one thing we did get is a pretty big gap here down in the 370s area. What's really nice is BTBT is working on taking its previous high here in July out. If we can do that, then we're moving on to the psychological 5 and then our cycle high of about 560. But look at this trend, it remained intact. We got a bounce here in September. We've been following this trend and we got a bounce here on that massive liquidation event. The Bitcoin miners have been showing strength versus Bitcoin in spite of Bitcoin. Part of it's the move into AI, but BTBT is an ETH play. Part of it is we're at the end of the cycle. This is typically when alts start really running, but they definitely need Bitcoin's help. Bitcoin going up will definitely help further fuel this run for the Bitcoin miners. If Bitcoin does tank, I do think the Bitcoin miners will pull back. But so far, they're in a fantastic trend, an uptrend, a bullish trend, above moving averages, following trend lines, near their highs. Things are looking pretty good for them, and I don't think the run is over yet. Now, as for Bitcoin, it's seeing a little bit of a recovery here today. I wanted to show you guys real quick the weekly. We got a bounce right around the 50, not right at it, but pretty close to it. We got a bounce right when we got close to the 50 MA on the weekly, which is a previous level that we have gotten a bounce off of almost every time, going back multiple years, going back into 2023. The 50 MA on the weekly is a very important level to watch. Right now it's at about 103,000, 102,000. As we move higher, this will obviously move higher as well. A break of the 50 MA on the weekly could mark kind of the beginning of the next pullback, the next major pullback, crypto winter, let's say it. Also, we did break a trend line we have been in since all the way back in April on Bitcoin. This trend line has been going on since April, and we did recently break it. I think it's important to see if we can break back above. Do we find it as resistance and retest the 50 MA? That'll be important to watch in the next couple of days as this develops. And going back to the daily, you'll see that we got rejected at the 50 MA on our pullback, and we fell under the 200 MA, but we reclaimed it. Now we have to break over this ascending trend line that we were talking about. If we can do that, it's a matter of breaking the 50 MA at about 115,000 or so. And if we can break the 50 MA and these recent lower highs here, I do think we're on our way to test our recent highs, our 125,000 cycle top. I don't think Bitcoin is done yet. We definitely want to see Bitcoin quickly reclaim this 50 MA, however. Now, if you're curious about CleanSpark's recent news, I will leave it down below. The article I went over and also their investor relations site that has a little more detail. I will leave that down below for you guys. How are you feeling today in the market? Hopefully you guys have been trimming a little bit. into these good times, days like this, 22% up moves for BTBT, for example, I think those times are good to trim a little bit. Probably not exit entirely, because the trend is still intact, but definitely taking profits along the way, because things can change quickly, as we saw last week with that massive liquidation event. And we are very late in the cycle. If you follow the 4-year cycle, we are getting towards the last few months of it, last few weeks possibly even, and it is a good time to be taking profits, in my opinion, collecting some cash, getting that cash ready for future bad times, future times of fear, not future times of greed. Trim into the greed, buy into the fear. Thanks as always for watching, guys, and I'll see you tomorrow.